What's up, you guys? It's your host, Migdalia Bonilla, and welcome to another podcast episode of Life with Migdalia. Now, I know these past few podcast episodes have been a lot. And you may think, wow, what the fuck was that? You're an idiot for staying as long as you did. But you know what? I learned a lot of valuable life lessons. And yes, part of me may, want to change the past, but there's nothing you can do about it. And besides the fact that I feel like I wasted my early 20s, which I'm sure a lot of us feel like we've wasted our early 20s doing stupid shit that we, never wanted to do, I guess. But I keep telling myself, you don't make it in your 20s, you'll make it in your 30s. If you don't make it in your 30s, you make it in your 40s. And that's what Judge Judy talked about once upon a time. So I just keep that in mind. But yeah, these past few episodes have been a little crazy and a little hectic. And I don't want people to think that I'm talking about them to reminisce or anything. It's just the fact that I am now mentally in a good place to go over everything that ever happened within those relationships. And I know, I said it in the last one, it's two sides to every story. I wasn't a great partner either, and I had a lot of things to learn. I still do, but I did not deserve to be treated like that, like in the slightest. But yeah, now that you guys know the nitty gritty, the details, and I know there's two sides to every story, okay? Valid, totally fine. But the thing is, when we are given, such blatant, obvious things like within our lives, and it's okay to wear rose-tinted glasses, and this is the part where I had to take it off, like with the whole Pugsley thing and the jailbait and the shop rat, everything. I had to simply wake up and stop playing house, stop playing a role, stop fitting into a specific category that I thought I was supposed to be. You're supposed to be with somebody through the thick and thin, through the most awful moments of their lives and whatever else, and, that undying loyalty that people should have. And it's okay to an extent. You see, when it comes to being loyal, like unbelievably just teeth pulling loyal because you think that's what you're supposed to really do, and it's one of my strengths and weaknesses. Like, I'm incredibly loyal to the point where I have created habits in the past that ultimately abandon myself. And I sacrifice those things about myself because of my loyalty. And it took me so long to finally realize that it's not okay. Like, it is, but to an extent. Like, you shouldn't stay with somebody because you should, or because it's the right thing to do. I abandoned myself in those relationships out of necessity. Because I thought it was necessary, because I thought that I loved these people. But in reality, I just loved the title of being in a relationship. I loved I guess, coming home to someone and, you know, Pugsley saying how in a text message, like, oh, you'll think about me every day, you'll regret leaving me, and basically no one will ever love me like he did. And it's such a laughable thing now because I'm the one that took almost a year to get into a relationship. I'm the one who had panic attacks about being in another relationship. And what did he do? He turned around and he got into a relationship, which by definition makes a serial monogamist. And that means somebody who dates one person after another without like a good chunk of time in between them. So like when he was dating Tennessee and they were together for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, it took him a month, maybe less, to then start dating Ghost. And then he was dating me while dating Ghost. And then after him and I ended the first time, he started talking to Ghost again. And then when I finally like left him one and done, a month later, he had already gotten a girlfriend. And it doesn't make me sad. It doesn't break my heart. I'm able to talk about these things more in depth now because of how much I have healed and how much it took me to like go through everything and finally shift through everything that I have been through as a young adult. And now that I'm almost 30, it is like night and day, honestly. Like, I was so naive and so delusional in my early 20s. Like, there were so many moments that I could have ended it. And I should have ended it in all those relationships. Like, I shouldn't have even wasted my time on any of them. But they taught me such harsh life lessons that ultimately changed me for the better. And I say that because jailbait taught me to expect the unexpected. That anything can happen, that they leave you and you're feeling like the rug got pulled underneath you. Shop Rat ultimately taught me that, being emotionless and having that part of me turned off was not healthy. And just being in a relationship because I deserved it was okay. And then Pugsley just taught me everything. How I should never settle. How these things are all red flags. What to look out for. What to do if I'm having some issues or in intuition instances where I notice them. And what really helped me kind of push me was listening to a podcast where I would hear like people talk about their significant others or talk about the red flags or talk about all these things that their significant other did or didn't do for them. And it got to the point where I would go on social media and I would see couples like doing nice things for each other. And I'm like, Pugsley would never do that for me. Like, that would never be my life. And I started to hate it. Like, I started really being like, yeah, he would never do this for me. Or, and I would never do that for him. So is that really love? And it got to the point where I just, had to sit there and think. And I abandoned myself so many times within that relationship, and I was never my truest self because I thought I had to diminish myself because these men like to think we're in competition with them when we're not. I have so much ambition. I have so much drive to do everything and anything because life is so short and we only get one. Now, my full belief is that reincarnation exists, so we live multiple lives, but we never remember them, and this is the life that I want to remember. So wasting my time at such a young age on people that just didn't care, and people that wanted to hide me away in a fucking dark room and diminish myself because they couldn't handle having someone who pushed back or deal with the trauma. Like, I was traumatized in the relationship with Pugsley, and he made it so much worse. Like, being screamed and yelled at in somebody who just becomes so just straight-faced and, quote, stone cold, that's not like a good thing. That is a sign of being detached or dissociating because of trauma. It's a clear-cut sign of trauma, and I learned that in therapy. And finally realizing it and getting out of the gutter, like, yeah, the whole point of like, oh, you abandon people, people don't abandon you. If somebody says that to you, you have to understand that do what's best for you. It's not fair to yourself to just settle because you think you need to stay with somebody out of loyalty. If they're not doing what you really, I don't know, they meet your standards or they don't meet your standards, that's a clear sign. And those boundaries, like, I made it clear within dating. And at first, let me rephrase. I made it clear within dating that I would have boundaries, and every time like I had a weird feeling, I would immediately block them. I got super comfortable with the block button. It was my best friend after getting out of a 3-year relationship. I loved the block button. Don't like what this person said? Block. Didn't meet a standard or word for word what would make me comfortable. And it's like one of those things where like the way people word things, and I don't know if anybody else does this or, really, the way that you ask a question, right? And then the way that this person words it, you can tell exactly what type of person they are based on how they respond to a question. And sometimes people have that ability and sometimes people don't. Which is why we ask our friends for advice or help, or like, hey, what do you think they meant by this? Or how should I word it? Like, I've gotten really good at asking people a certain question to maneuver a conversation the way I want it to be in order to get the answer that I want. And it became so easy. And I'm like, Alec even noticed it when we would go out to the bars and stuff when we first started living together. He was like, you do this so well. Like, you could be in a room full of people and have no idea what they're fucking talking about or whatever. Like, for example, sports, football. And then you can maneuver the conversation into something that you do know. And it's such a smooth transition. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm pretty good. But it's become more apparent as I've gotten older. And, living with a friend and having, them see the red flags and talking about situations with friends and other people that you're close with really does add some perspective to it. And I wish that I never would have stayed as long as I fucking did with those people, especially Pugsley. I never should have stayed for 3 years. The instant that he really, honestly, like probably New Year's when I found those apps on his phone, I should have just cut it off. And he, like, when he was screaming in my face and throwing shit at me, I should have just cut it off. I should have been the one to block him. I should have went on my merry fucking way, living in my apartment, doing things on my own. I wish I would have realized that. Maybe I would have come out of the closet a lot sooner, realizing that I don't actually, want to be with a man. I think about marriage, not so much as a wedding, because a wedding and marriage are two completely different things. I think about marriage with my girlfriend more than I ever thought about with anybody else. And let me elaborate for people that may not understand. You could want a wedding because it's a day that's all about you and your significant other, mainly the bride, because you're getting your hair done, you're having a big party, basically inviting all of your friends and family. The dress is beautiful, the makeup, the hair, the pampering, the all about you, the attention. Like, some people want weddings because it's a significant milestone within our lives that people love. And then you have marriage, something that you really have to work towards, something, because once the wedding phase is over, it's kind of like a regular honeymoon phase when you first start dating somebody. Reality sets in. You have all of this other shit going on. Like, you're gonna fall through hard times. Shit's gonna happen. Kids can become involved. And having kids puts strains on relationships. It's just normal. It happens. Marriage is a lot tougher and I should say extremely harder than just setting up and planning a wedding that happens for one day. Like, a wedding is for a year, a day. Marriage is like, if you stay with this person for the rest of your life, like you want to grow old with this person. I'm not talking about like divorces and shit. I mean, that stuff does happen, obviously. But I don't want just a wedding. I want marriage. I want to call my girlfriend my wife, and I want her to call me her wife. Because the bond that I feel with her is so, like, I don't know, it's the strongest connection I've ever felt in my entire life, and it just makes sense. And when I was at work, somebody asked me, like, such a great question. It was like, what was or is the best, like what do you and your girlfriend connect on, type of thing. And I really couldn't think about it because, yes, my girlfriend and I are not perfect. We have some tendencies that we have brought in from our previous toxic relationships. But at the end of the day, we always figure it out. We always come back and rekindle and make up and just move on. And I've gotten a lot better at really saying I'm sorry and moving on and, being with that, because before I always had a hard time saying I was sorry, and I hardly ever validated anybody's feelings. And she's helped me grow a lot and change a lot in that aspect. Like, I used to have fights with previous people that would last for days. For days. And now it maybe lasts an hour, less than that. Like, our quickest argument was maybe 30 minutes. And, like, it gets shorter depending on the situation almost each time. But we always figure it out. But I ended up telling this person who asked me this question, saying it was always easy from her since day one. Because we matched on Facebook dating. We talked, we got to know each other. It was as easy as you like me, I like you. How are we going to work this out? Are you interested in long distance? How are you feeling? It was the easiest transition from meeting to talking to meeting in person to dating to figuring out our lives and moving in together. Everything that I've ever even done when it came to talking with somebody has always been a struggle. It's always been tooth and nail trying to figure out this or that or having some type of complication, and it's just so annoying. Dating somebody should have a smooth transition and it should be easy. There shouldn't be any complications. And she taught me that. There have been so many learning curves and things within my relationships or significant relationships that have taught me such strong lessons. And this makes sense to me, but I specifically think that teenagers should date. Only because if I would have dated properly when I was a teenager, I probably would have worked out all the dumb shit rather than having to learn them in my mid to late 20s. And it, in those relationships, it always was I don't feel like I'm good enough for dating. I feel like I'm terrible when it comes to relationships. You just need to find the right person that works with you through them, through the trauma, through the issues. And yeah, it can be difficult and it can be, one of the biggest challenges that you'll ever face in your life, but it's still worth trying. And I don't think anybody's bad at relationships unless you're constantly cheating on someone or lying and being a disgusting human being. That's what I think. But I before was more set on what I wanted, and it was a lot easier after going through dumb shit. When Pugsley and I first broke up, I think I waited a couple, I told myself that I would wait a month before I went on the dating apps or something, but then I was getting bored, and there's always that feeling you have when you first get out of a relationship. Your body and your mind still think you're in a relationship, so it holds you back from doing specific things because you still think that texting another person romantically or flirting with somebody or dressing a specific way, I guess, makes it feel like you're cheating even though you're not in a relationship anymore. If that makes sense. Me wearing specific tank tops and whatever that made Pugsley question my faithfulness and whatever. I wore outfits after the breakup and I just felt weird because in my head I'm just yeah, he would have said this. And it just became so weird. Or me talking to, a guy or whatever at this point because I hadn't come out yet. talking to a guy, I felt like weird and just icky, even though I shouldn't have been. So I ended up going on the dating apps maybe a week or two after we broke up just to give myself something to do. But I only ever like talked to a few people, and it was only ever flirty texting or Snapchatting, and then I ended up deleting the app because I was like, I don't want to do this, and I shouldn't be forcing myself to do something that I don't want to do. Like, that was my foot being put down. I then decided, hey, I'm gonna wait like a year to actually like seek a relationship because I knew I wasn't ready, and I was tired of forcing myself to do things I didn't want to fucking do. And it even more solidified after I slept with, oh, what the fuck was his code name? The chemist, at the end of May, like right before I moved into my new apartment. Yeah, because it made me feel like icky and gross after. And at first I was like, oh my God, I just had sex with somebody else for the first time in like 3 years. This is crazy. Like, wow, look at me. Like, doing what single people do. And then I did it again shortly after that, and I was like, yeah. Okay, and I never spoke to these guys really again. So, like, maybe they hit me up a second time, you know, like a couple months after we had hooked up, but that was it. Like, they never wanted really anything to do with me. I didn't want really anything to do with them. And I left it at that because I didn't really care about getting into a relationship. I just wanted to have fun and do what I wanted to do. And when I exhausted myself of putting myself in safety risks, I stopped. I was like, you know what? Hookup culture is not for me anymore. Like, I really don't care. And I never once like went to the bar or whatever seeking somebody to hook up with. Like, I never randomly like went home with somebody or brought someone home. It was just wasn't my style. And thank God, like, I fucking stopped and had just a change of thought, because I'm really glad that I didn't do that and really sat with myself. And having, what is the word I'm looking for? Abstinence, or, being abstinent. Am I saying that correctly? Just not having sex really does change your energy and change your mood and the way you look at things, and really like different people's energy within your energy is like just not okay, and it makes such a big difference. And you learn to realize that sex really isn't the most important thing in the world. And maybe that was my aspect of just like, having sex with guys versus like actually having sex with a woman. Because yes, having sex in a relationship should be healthy. Like, that is a healthy part of a relationship, is having the sexual connection on top of the emotional connection. But it is not the most important thing in the world, like, at the end of the day. And the only thing that really comes to mind is like, when you have children or you give birth, women's bodies have to heal for long periods of time. And it's so scary to think about how some men will either cheat on their wives, or like, the horror stories that come with your significant other cheating on you after you give birth or go through a hard time because that person's not getting sex because they're waiting on their partner to heal from like a traumatic injury, is so wild to me. Like, forcing someone to have sex while they're trying to heal because you can't be patient enough to wait for their body to, like, I don't know, be somewhat normal again. That's insane. Like, that's crazy. And that's what I mean when I say sex is not the most important thing in the world. because you don't need it. You just want a release for your own self. Because, yeah, it can also be a stress reliever. But again, you can do it yourself. Who fucking cares? I had a train of thought, but then I lost it. I look back at myself from my, like, even talking about the whole Pugsley situation, that one was, it wasn't difficult, but it was still, like, trying to put my head in who I was 3 years ago. And it's so crazy. It is so crazy to sit here and talk about it and think, wow, I actually lived through this. Like, I went through all of that and I'm here. I'm sitting in a whole different state, in a whole different job. Like, my whole life, within the past 3 years, to the past 2 years, to the past 1 year, have all done a complete 180. I've never been in the same, like, I haven't been in the same spot for the past 3 years. Like, I have done so much growth and so much change within the past 3 years than I did when I was with Pugsley. Like, everything was the same for the past 3 years of that relationship. Like, besides moving, like, we moved into that new place and we stayed there for 3 years, and until, like, I ended up moving out and shit and breaking up with him, like, it stayed pretty much the same, which is probably why I kept going fucking stir crazy and wanting to redecorate the whole place over and over again, because I was going insane of not having change. And the consistency of change every year really does, like, help. And when my girlfriend and I get a new place, like, we're gonna have to start from fucking scratch. And it's so crazy to think about. Like, I had a full furnished apartment once upon a time, and then we're gonna move into a new place, and I'm gonna have to start absolutely over. We both are. Like, new mattress, new furniture. And furniture, I mean couch and TV and new shit and just new dressers and whatever else. And it's gonna be insane. Like, I don't, like, get my manifestations here quicker, please and thanks. But yeah, we're supposed to change. If you are still in the exact same spot that you were, I don't know, a year ago, 6 months ago, are you really benefiting from life? Are you really seeing yourself, or are you abandoning yourself? Because you really have to look at that aspect of everything. Like, I hated who I was years ago. I mean, I loved her, but I still hated it. Like, I was so miserable. I was so unhappy and insecure, and then I got out of a toxic, abusive relationship, and my whole world changed, and I became this entirely different version of myself, the person that I was meant to be, going out to bars, dressing in cute outfits, really living and loving life, and really absorbing it. And I became this ultimately confident person, and it just helped so much. And honestly, working at a bar has allowed me to get in touch with that version of myself again, of dressing in cute outfits, socializing with people, listening to music, like dancing again. Because it's just a little reminder that I am who I think I am. My personality is magnetic. I am charming. I am happy. I am learning and growing, and I'm a fast learner. all of these things that I ever doubted about myself have just dissipated, and I have proved to myself things, like different things that I didn't think I could accomplish. And really getting into the manifest portion of it, I'm so just bamboozled about how things really do work out in a perfect timing aspect. Like, it's actually crazy. So learn from my mistakes. If you are in a relationship and you listen to the previous episodes and you think, oh, my partner does that. Oh, yeah. Like, oh, they like yell and scream in my face and stuff. Like, oh, that's not it. Get out now, please. Like, I'm begging you. I'm literally from the bottom of my heart begging you to get out of that situation the best way that you can. You shouldn't have to stay with somebody because you think that you have to. Like, oh, they're my ride or die, and I shouldn't have to, I can't leave them because, I'm supposed to be their person. I'm supposed to be loyal. I can't just... If it's not what's best for you, you'll know. You'll feel it. And you have to do whatever you can. Like, don't be malicious and awful and whatever about it. Just tell them. Eventually, they'll get over it. Or maybe they'll find somebody within the next month or two and be completely fine. And if you're coming out of a long, term relationship, please give yourself time to find yourself again. Or find a new version of you. Don't abandon yourself within a relationship because you think that you're supposed to be a version of yourself they want you to be. It's not worth it, I promise you. Like, there's so much more to fucking life than that toxic relationship that you need to break off smaller pieces of yourself so they can stand it. It's not fair. Those people were holding me back from who I was because they couldn't handle an independent person. They needed somebody to need them. They needed somebody to rely on, especially Pugsley. If you listen to those text messages that he sent me, he didn't know how to pay the rent. He didn't know... Damn, Milo. He didn't know how to pay the rent. He didn't know how to pay the electric. He didn't know about the Xfinity router shit. He didn't know how to take care of himself on his own. Somebody always did that for him. I am so sick of people not knowing how to pay their fucking bills or know what to do when it comes to being on their own. It's fucking sad. It's so pathetic. You should not have to rely on another person to live your life. And we should not have to diminish ourselves because somebody else can't handle us. Like, that's not fair. That's not okay. Just feeling super passionate, you know what I mean? It also becomes more apparent in my life, or I guess in life in general, is that everyone that you meet is starting over within a chapter of their lives. Like, especially with bartending, I've gotten to know a lot more people. Like, I see hundreds, if not 1,000 faces a week. Okay? And it's a small dive bar. So maybe a few hundred, but this past weekend was super chaotic because of graduation. And we probably had 2,000, 3,000 people walk through that door this whole weekend, or this whole week. And getting to know individuals, like, what everyone's going through. Everyone is starting over in some aspect of their life. And I'll try to give advice. I'll try to, help as much as I can with any advice. And one of them being, like, someone who just got out of a marriage of 10 years, or another person coming in and, she's just upset because she thinks her husband is a piece of shit and a narcissist, and she's in her 30s or 40s doing all that. People are graduating, people are getting married, people are going on their honeymoons, they're starting a new job, they're doing all of these things, and it's just so crazy to realize that from the beginning, especially through my podcasting journey, especially written in bold fucking letters, I've had to start over so many times, and it has just become a habit of starting over, and it genuinely doesn't scare me anymore. Starting over anywhere doesn't make me nervous. I've also learned to stand up for myself and stand my ground and be unapologetically myself without having any issues. And I try to be, I don't even know, like mysterious and, try not to be an oversharer. But I can't help it, because the thing that I've come to terms with is I enjoy oversharing. I do, because nothing I tell somebody could hurt me. Even if they did find out something, it couldn't hurt me as much as I've already been hurt. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to say it. You think you have all this, I don't know, shit on someone. Well, you don't have shit when that person, knows who they are, knows what they've been through. And the older we get, the less we care about other people's opinions of us. And maybe you're not there yet. Maybe, you do care what people think. And I think it's important to an extent. We want to have a good first impression for interviews, but when we go into a bar or to a place and somebody looks at us and, everyone's going to have their opinion of you. But you just have to realize, they're not, if you don't think they're important enough to be in your life, for example, some stranger, you're probably never going to see them again. Why do you care about what they think? Or, coworkers. I go through this, whole thing in my mind, too, of, especially in certain situations, at work. You're not there to make friends, you're there to make money. And this woman gave me this advice since I was, 18? 17 or 18, when I was so shy and I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted to people please. I wanted, everyone to feel special and feel awesome and do this and do that and just be there for people who needed it, because I know what it feels like to be alone. And a lot of the times it does bite me in the ass. It has. And after I got out of the relationship and realized the amount of times I abandoned myself by not sticking up for myself and not putting my foot down, I really got into the habit of do they like me? And switching that perspective to, wait, do I like them? Do I even like their character? Do I like the morals that they have? Do we share the same values as a person? And that's how I dictate whether or not I want somebody to be in my life. That's how I got my friends. That's how I can understand people. And what even sucks more is, yes, people may do shitty things or not have the same morals and values as me, but it's just that one fucking factor that I always understand. I understand why you did it. I get it. I understand your background. If I've been told things about your background, the way you say things, your demeanor, the way you word things, how you come off. Like, I know. And I always try to think of, like, the situation, and I've been really trying to practice seeing the bigger picture, because I get it. Like, I understand why people do the shit that they do. It's just, I would never do the shit that you do. Like, the way that my exes and previous friends have, treated me, I would never do that to them. And I've been talking with one of my, coworkers who's turning into, I guess a couple of my coworkers who are turning into good friends. We had that conversation this past weekend of, really respecting yourself and, understanding why people do the things that they do, and not really giving people the benefit of the doubt, because, you want to be a good person. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe, they're just going through something and whatever. But 9 times out of 10, it's not about you. It's about them, and sharing those values and morals with people that you want to have in your life is so important. And doing shit that you would never do to somebody else, like them doing shit that you would never do to them, is such a drastic, thing to think about. It really is. Because that's how you gauge whether or not you want somebody in your life. And it got to many instances where I started taking a look at people who had other people around. Like, for example, girls who say, oh yeah, I don't have a lot of friends, this and that. I'm not, like, girls don't like me, or people really don't like me. Like, they always use the girls. They're like, oh, I don't have a lot of girlfriends. And then they do something to you that makes you say, oh, no fucking shit. I had that with Penny. I think that was one of the first things she ever said to me was, yeah, a lot of girls don't really like me. Like, I'm more comfortable being friends with guys. There are certain circumstances where girls, are better, they get along better with men. That is circumstantial. But when you, kind of play around and see, when a lot of other girls tend to say, oh yeah, I don't have a lot of girlfriends, like, girls don't like me. Well, yeah, I see why. It becomes more of a self-respect type of thing. And people like to have this just misconstrued, like, thing or misconception about self-respect. Like, oh, this girl doesn't wear a lot of clothes, or blah, 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 or this person doesn't wear a lot of clothes, so they must not respect themselves to cover up. I don't ever agree with that. I think it's more important to, like, have people surrounding you and that type of self-respect when it comes to individuals. Like, I don't know, have your boobies out or your butt out. I don't give a fuck. But if you, have self-respect and have confidence and whatever else, and there's a difference between, situations like clothing versus people. And I don't know if this is making any fucking sense. I really don't. This is just where my head's at. But, like, when we have people in our lives who constantly, disrespect us, or more so, what's a good example? They like walk all over you because they know that you're going to stay no matter what they put you through. So they can do whatever they want in such a negative way, and they can treat you however you want because, you've showed them time and time again that you're not going anywhere. So they just continuously treat you like shit. That is, a big chunk of how I was. And I was wearing all these fucking clothes. And I was, like, very much into fashion in my, I don't even want to say prime, but in my learning single moments of life. I was wearing my heels. I was wearing my cute outfits. I was doing this. But I was also radiating the confidence outwards of other women wearing similar outfits or whatever, and like giving them those compliments because I was, learning self-respect. And it gave me such a confidence boost. And I guess in a way, to help make this make sense is, wear what makes you the most confident and makes you feel beautiful and just all around amazing. If you have to wear a cute ass outfit with your tits popping out like a corset, or, skinny jeans with heels on, or like a skirt on with heels on, and you feel like a bad bitch, you're gonna feel more, self-respect because you're like, you know what? I'm fucking stunning. I'm amazing. Why would I let somebody treat me like this? Why would I do this? Why would I talk bad about myself? Why would I, have somebody walk all over me? I don't deserve that shit. So I guess that's where I'm kind of laying it all out, because that's how I got mine. Like, I was doing my full fucking head to toe nails, toes, clothes, hair, makeup, jewelry, everything. Like, I love that shit, and it really got me into my feminine aura and feminine just all around encapsulating. And it's another reason why I can't wait to fucking move and have, a walk-in closet and be able to shop for clothes again, because I had such fun just radiating divine femininity, and I made it a ritual, and I can't wait to do that again. It's kind of hard to do it in, a house that isn't really yours. So, yeah, but I really think that practicing the whole, like, not abandoning yourself and really just encapsulating that is super important, but it's also a lot to practice. And I wanted to give you guys kind of a layout on how to take those steps and really get to that point, because at, the moment of that time, I had never felt better. Like, yeah, I was healing, but I had never felt more like myself in that year from May of 2023 to, what should I say? I don't know, winter of 2025. Because let's be honest, winter of 2025 really kicked my ass, because my seasonal depression was super fucking bad. Like, I did not want to do anything. Like, I hated life. I had a dead-end job. Like, it was super bad. But, winters were just super awful for me. So, let's just say, yeah, May of 2023 to fall of 2024. Yeah, because right before the winter, I never felt better. And you really have to take those steps to, do that. And you have to remind yourself, even, listening to affirmations, which I kind of want to do affirmations. like as a, voiceover things so people can listen to it. I don't know, I'm thinking about it. But I think it would be super beneficial for, people to really get in that headspace and learn to not abandon themselves, because when I tell you it's the most freeing experience, it's nothing like you've ever felt before. That's all I gotta say. So that is the end of this episode. If you guys really liked it, enjoyed it, you know what to do, share it, send it to somebody, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Spotify account. If you guys are interested in purchasing products such as jewelry, or anything else that I have on my Etsy page, there's a link in my Instagram bio and TikTok. So my Instagram is Migdalia Bonilla, Migdalia, B as in boy, Onillaa, or Life with Migdalia, Lifewithmigdalia. God, it's so exhausting having a long fucking name, but whatever. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And like my TikTok and whatever else is pretty much the same. So if you want to give a follow or whatever, do what you gotta do. I appreciate your guys' support, always. If you're interested in listening to, a different topic or have any questions or whatever, don't be scared to comment something or, DM me. More so comment, okay? I look at my comments more than anything. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time. Love you, bye.